stuff like this.
You're listening to the Bathtub Refinishing Podcast. Powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. We discuss the refinishing industry, interview owners and operators, and give tips to business owners and entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Daniel Montalvo.
All right, we're back. We're back here, still talking with the guy from Calgary Refinishing. I need your name again, man. I'm bad with names. Rob. You don't look like a Rob.
I don't look like a Rob?
No. A Rob, you giving me like a Tyler vibe,
Tyler vibe.
God.
I get Jason Mimosa sometimes.
Oh, shit, I see that.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah, it's the hair, man.
Yeah.
That's show hair. That's what we call it,
Yeah,
man.
that hair is on point.
You're a performer or something, man.
It's hard to refinish when you got long hair like this.
I'm growing mine out.
I could imagine one of those dropping on that shit.
To be honest, doesn't happen that
Just
often.
need some tweezers, man.
Doesn't happen that often. Razor blade.
Yep,
Oh,
pop
okay.
that shit right out.
Sometimes you don't see it. You kind of cover it and you see it after, though, and you're like trying to pull it out. Fuck.
You're just leaving your mark. Be with this tub forever.
Doesn't happen as often as you think, man.
Yeah.
So we were getting into the conversation about the multifamily stuff, and you were bringing up what was the last thing that you said? Do you remember?
Compliance.
Compliance.
So
Yeah, that's
right
important.
now, me and him strategize constantly on how we're going to elevate our businesses to the next level. And residential will feed you, a couple guys, feed your family. But how do we get to a point where our businesses are legacy type of?
How do I get a BathTubGuys jet?
Yeah. and it's our biggest challenge in the industry is we have to gain new work every single day. How many sales do you have to make residential to keep 4 guys busy for the whole year? Minimum four closers a day, right? But if you have an apartment complex that provides you 7 tubs a month and you have 4 or 5 of those, you only needed to make 3 connections to have that recurring work. So it takes some pressure off of your sales ratio. But getting into those properties is much harder. One, they're all corporatized, even worse than the hotels.
Oh yeah,
Because the apartments are branded as their own entity, but they're owned by a management company that owns 12 of them. And then you got to find out who's the gate. You have to get past the gatekeeper to get to the GM, for the GM to just tell you who the real decision maker is.
Oh yeah.
Then get to them and then find out all their compliance demands.
Which is crazy. I'm going through it right now.
And each one has their own, and they're all different. So they want different policies. They want different coverage limits.
I have
They want different paperwork. They want different guarantees. They want different this. They want you to jump through hoops just to bid for the job.
They want insurance to say that they're additional insured as if the insurance is exclusive to them. Weird. They make you put verbiage on there that says like, it's our insurance policy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. But
and then
whatever.
Those fucking companies, like you find out who the management company is, and they don't make their contact information readily available.
Yeah.
So we've ran into that too. So we finally find out who owns these places, and then we're like, how the fuck do you call these people? And they know not to put their number on their site.
We need to speak to them.
Yeah, like we canvassed Tampa, like a week or 2 ago?
Yeah.
We hit like maybe 9 or 10 apartment complexes, and we found one property management company called Morgan Properties out of Pennsylvania. They don't have a single phone number on their site. You have to
or email.
Yeah, you have to send like a registration form just to contact them. And these are the challenges we're trying to figure out. How do we get past? Because we know if you can land, we only need 3 or 4 of them. When they have hundreds of rooms that turn around almost once at least once a year.
Yeah, and then you got to remember, it's not just tubs. They're doing counters. They're doing cabinets sometimes. Sinks, tub and tiles, shower enclosures, and repairs. Sometimes they're newer and they just need someone to do repairs. Structural issues.
Yep.
And they can't turn over the unit in bad condition.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a real demand.
Yeah, builders and things like that. They put in the tubs when the steel stud framing still put in, and they just get completely destroyed from contractors.
Those fiberglass tubs that crack on the bottom.
Oh,
man.
yeah. Well, for us, because a lot of them come from here, they get shipped and they're already damaged when they get up there.
You have to put them on game with the inlays.
Yeah, you gotta get into that, bro. That's crazy. I have an apartment complex.
Good money in
the
that.
first one I landed, they're paying $1,100 a unit for this.
No Well, you don't have to spray at all.
You don't have to. I don't have to spray. I'm spraying them because they look a little dingy.
Yeah, they look really good once you.
But they were cool. They just wanted a solution for the cracking, and we got the solution.
It's like we were talking about with the refinishing, how it's kind of like people find it kind of sketch.
Yeah.
This is something you can provide that's 100% legitimate.
Yeah.
And a legitimate solution.
Yeah.
And you can back it. Like you can feel comfortable backing it.
Nice.
Yeah. And
well, that's all these businesses are, is providing solutions to people
Yeah.
who don't have the time or the knowledge to deal with it. Like you always get the guy on site who's just kind of the guy who's trying to go and problem solve. But when you're on big projects, they don't have time to figure out how to fix a chip in a bathtub, in a brand new bathtub, when there's 30 of them.
Yeah.
the way you make, like, if you can make money two ways commercial. You have something that nobody else has.
Yep.
Or you're doing the volume game.
Yep.
We want to do both.
Oh, definitely.
Because we have pretty much two things that nobody does. That and the jetted tub conversions that no one knows how to do.
Yeah.
Some people think they know how to do it.
But not the way
They don't know how to do it the way we do it.
Yeah, I've done a few of them, which is the same way I would just fix a massive hole in the side of a tub. Like, I know there are some like conversion kits out there that you can do, and there are proper ways to potentially do it. But I've gone through and just fiberglass the hell.
Yeah,
out of
you
them,
can make it look good.
I've made it look good, but I'm like, there must be a better way.
Yeah, the key to ours is back support.
Yeah.
Is we create legitimate back support, so when you fill the tub, when water pressure is applied
And
on
fill all
sides,
the jets
it actually will hold.
Yep.
You can hit it with a hammer.
It's a
not-
legitimate solution.
break.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That's
did
it is our secret.
We
though.
did 93 of those in Puerto Rico.
Holy shit.
And I charged them $1,000 a unit,
Nice.
plus all travel expenses. We were there for
Nice.
3 weeks.
We stayed on resort too.
Not bad.
That was
Stayed on
that
resort.
was our first project
That
together.
was our first project.
Not bad.
That was our first project with him. We have done that in Tennessee. We've done it here, and all the other companies, they'll go and do a demo, and they don't pass a stress test. They do one of these, the double thumbs, pops open on everybody else's.
Really?
On ours, I literally have gotten it, and I've been like with a hammer, it won't budge.
Yeah, like I make quite big like fiberglass resin patches, but it turns into a 2-day process.
Does it
'cause you
look
have
like
to-
a fucking blob?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I
Yeah,
feathered
no,
it.
if you-
I
if
do
you-
the
if
same.
you're good with
I
the
do the same way
patch.
you would fix like a bumper on a car
I
or something.
see.
If it
and
was
it technically
boxed.
seals it, right? It's
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
not it's not
And
a
I make
fake
it
solution,
hard.
yeah.
Like I've done holes in the side of shower units like this big. It takes a lot, and people are like, oh, can you just like patch just the hole? I'm like, you need to spray the whole thing.
Yeah, it's gonna look like shit if you do
like,
that.
it's gonna look like shit. You need to spray the whole thing. Like a 6-inch hole is gonna be half the size of the wall there, all said and done, to make it look nice.
Yeah, and that project, logistics and stuff for something in Puerto Rico too. They're willing to pay more. I always tell people, like, don't ever get scared if someone calls you from some other shit. Like, if someone called you from Canada and was like, I need you to come do some shit in Michigan, don't just say no. Give them the price that would make sense for you to
course,
go.
why are they calling you?
Exactly. And this is what I always tell people. They're like, how do you get these things? I'm like, because I have the balls to say, here's my fucking quote.
Yeah.
All these people are just
Yes.
like, I'm not going to go over there, because they think that, like, the same rules apply. And it's a different game. If they know who they're calling.
If someone is paying you what your quote to do something, and you don't underquote yourself just to get a job, but if someone's gonna pay you to travel there, and this is what I'll do it for, and they're gonna say yes, fucking take the job.
And that project ended up costing them like $140.
Yeah, exactly. You
Fucking-
fucking charge them money, and if they're gonna pay it,
They
of
still
course.
save money too, bro.
It did, because in Puerto Rico the plumbing is fixed, so they couldn't.
Yeah, they can't do
They
shit.
can't, because everything there is like, it's in the tropics, hurricanes, things like that.
Yep.
They would have to redo all the plumbing. It was going to be a fucking mess. So they were like, we need to seal these things off. And I was like, sure thing.
So how was getting product out there? Like, what
By
was the
boat, took 3.5 weeks. Almost didn't make it. It came after us. We
almost
got
didn't
there.
make you guys are standing
And
there.
then they delivered it the day we were like, all right, we need to spray today.
Looks like we're on vacation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it was cool though. It was a cool experience. They put us in a nice place
Yeah,
too.
business aside,
Nice.
it was a cool experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a 4-star resort
Yeah.
right on the water.
Not
And
bad.
They're like, you're in the room working, and you just look out. and
You know
it's
who to call
paradise.
next time for a project like that, right? Give
Yeah.
me a
Calling
call.
Rob?
Yeah, give me a call.
I'll hit you up if you want to come.
That's exactly how how I went on that project was I was painting a tub one day, and I stumbled upon his podcast, and it was when I was a sole guy And I did the same thing. I hit him up. I was like, yo, let me come on your podcast. You're like an hour from me. And then when I got here, we started talking about the project.
And I was like, I need people for Puerto Rico. I don't really have the people for it.
I live an hour and a half.
Yeah, I was like, I'll go if you want. And he's like, you serious? And I'm like, I'm fucking serious. Like, we'll do it. I had 2 guys at the time, me and 2 guys. I brought in 2-3 more guys who never did this hub in their life.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I sprayed all 90 of those fucking. I think Ralph sprayed like 2 or 3 in the beginning.
Yeah.
But the way we structured the project to get done quickly was, they had to do all those conversions. So we had 6 guys just doing the conversions, and then I would go behind and spray them all.
Yep.
And,
not bad.
And we made it work. But
the hardest part was getting fucking Bondo out there, dude.
Yeah.
I had to go to every Advanced Auto part in fucking Puerto Rico. Wild. Every AutoZone, every fucking Walmart, and just buy all the Bondo. I would come with like 7 or 8 cans of Bondo of the gallons, and then like in an hour, John would be like, "Hey man, we're out of Bondo." I'm like, "Fuck!" And then I had to do it all over again.
Hey, but our project management was on point, bro.
And that's part of the process, obviously.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is why you're
available.
Charging the money, because to facilitate all that.
I mean, we had my partner Gilbert. We had you. Always just available, period.
Yep.
And then I was pretty much running the project on the ops level. I was running the crews, and I was painting the tubs. And then we had our, his right-hand guy, his best guy, Ralph, was like leading the preppers.
He was training them while he was working, because
that's what you need to do.
It was a make it or break it type of project.
That's what you need to do.
I wasn't going to stop my operations here.
No.
And
but that's why it's good to have like that many people out on a project like that. It's like, you know what, they can pick it up as they go.
And it got done, and they were happy with it. It was cool.
It's not extremely difficult to prep. I find the hardest thing with training people is using a fucking X-Acto knife. Take the caulking off.
Yeah.
Like, I find that's the hardest thing to train people. And if like I'm in a pinch to we got volume on that day, or we have a lot of stuff that needs to be done, I'll go in, because I usually, have somebody prepping. I'll go to site and I'll just be making phone calls and just be there to help them out. But I'll be in the vehicle making phone calls, booking new work, chatting with customers, doing all that sort of stuff, or even going and doing quotes on another project. But I'll go in and just quickly help them with caulking and just take, because I can do this 10 times faster than them.
Yeah.
If you really are serious about taking the business to the next level, you need to start to make those moves in your head. And realize that the administration shit is a full-time job.
It is a full-time job. And people don't realize that at all. I'm like, I don't have days off. I'm here on vacation, and people are fucking calling me and messaging me this morning. I was on a phone call on the way here with someone.
And if you're spraying, this is what a lot of these small dudes don't get, bro. If you're spraying and somebody called you, and by the time you look at the phone, it's 2 hours have passed, don't even bother calling them back.
Oh, exactly. It's first person to get to them.
Especially someone who's calling. A text message is it's like, get back to me whenever you can. A phone call there is a lot of intent there.
And I like phone calls. I try to gear anytime I'm doing any marketing, which has been little, to phone calls.
You close better on the phone or in person.
Always. Give me your phone number. Let me give you a call. It's why would I? There's so much to the industry. There's so much that people don't even know of. Like, let's just answer your questions over the phone instead of having 100 emails. You will obviously want this done right away.
Yep.
Let's just speed up this process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no brainer. I mean, sales 101. It's the human factor too.
So he told the story of how he found the podcast. How did you find it?
I was about to say. So I booked this trip down here for my girlfriend for her birthday back in like April.
Sure you did.
No, I didn't. No, back in April.
Okay.
Booked it for. Well, I bought the Holiday Inn Club fucking timeshare thing. And, I was like, this is too good to be true. And everyone's like, they're gonna try to sell you a timeshare. I was like, good fucking luck. If they're gonna, charge me $200 and give me $350 cash when I'm there and I deny them, sure, I'll go do this. Mm-hmm. So that was like a year ago. And then in April, I booked it for her birthday. I started listening to the podcast around the same time, but didn't know where you were located. And popped up, and I'm like, Kiss Me Orlando. Like, I think you were saying, like, yeah, Kiss Me. And somewhere in Florida, so I Googled it, and I'm like, it's fucking like
right there.
It's like right where I'm staying. And this was even a number of months before I called you. It's like, I'll listen to the podcast more and whatever.
And make sure I'm not crazy.
Yeah, and then I only really called you like a month ago.
You gotta.
I'm like, I should get on that. We're gonna be down there. She was fine with it, so I'm like, I'll just give him a call.
Yeah.
Good man.
And now I'm here.
You never know, because we're always looking for people too.
Well, what enticed me was, like, I've only listened to the first 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But what enticed me a lot was social media, of how you built the company up. You took it from your parents and how you built it up, and it was social media you were really driving in.
Yeah.
And I haven't done really any marketing. I've done Google ads. I've had a number of websites dealing with, SEO, that sort of shit, website management. That's a whole other conversation.
Brand presence gives you the ability to charge more than others without having to sell.
And I just started doing that. And like I said, I don't really have a ton of competition.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have, probably more Google reviews than everybody else around me, which people really like.
Yeah.
When people call me, and I do good work for them, I ask them for a review, and it's great. But I don't have a ton of competition. But people don't know about this industry up there
Yeah.
a lot. So I think there is a huge hole, because if I'm, the one who looks the best on Google and I'm not as busy as I want to be, obviously there's a hole there that needs to be filled that people just don't know about.
You know where the hole is?
Awareness.
You know where the hole is for you? It's going to be what he just said, in awareness.
Yep.
Your Google ads, if you don't have a lot of competition, Google ads are intention based.
Well, that's exactly it.
But Facebook is where you start to educate people that this exists.
Yeah, people have no clue, and they see this, they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That's not a brand new bathtub?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
This is insane.
You need content.
I got a message on Instagram 2 days ago for a lady, like she likes my reels.
Yep.
I put like whatever trending audio is, and then I just have the guys working, and it looks good, and then you get you get a $5,000-$6,000 kitchen from
And
that.
this is where me not spraying comes in, because it's all the social media, and I've survived for better half of a decade with no marketing at all, just basically based off referrals.
And you have
get
other
complacent, you get comfortable.
You have people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
That's kind of why this podcast is necessary, because it is a kind of a place for us to come together as refinishers and think a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Because you're all the way in Calgary, bro. You're not talking to us on a regular basis.
Well,
You're here
exactly.
now, and we're brainstorming on how to be bigger and how to bring this to the next level.
yeah, and the thing is, I get called from everywhere all the fucking time. Like, they don't always go with me, but they have before. Like, I did a project in Texas. Asked me if I went to Texas. I didn't do shit. I knew someone in Texas. I subbed it to him.
Nice. See, but they call you.
Yeah, they called me.
They call you, and they're finding you
Well,
because of
I also-
brand awareness. And
Yeah, and I make it a point that I travel everywhere for commercial stuff. I'll go anywhere.
yeah, of course, I'll go anywhere.
Yeah. And,
So
but
that's another
Professionalizing the image, man. That's one thing Danny's really good at, and we decided to work together for is because you can do everything yourself, or you can also learn how to play with each other's strengths.
Yep.
And Danny has this ability to understand marketing, understand how to deliver an image to clients, and it's obviously helped him a lot.
It's like what we were talking about with the other Danny, and Alliance Bath Reglazing. It's like you standardize your processes. You need to realize that no matter how down to the wire you might think, getting out of the spraying aspect is gonna maybe hurt your bottom line. It's hurting you a lot more not doing it, because
definitely.
because every moment that you're not on social media and some other asshole is, like, all this stuff, it starts to affect the business. Or if you really have ambitions to grow it to another level, those things are going to keep you from what you want out of it.
Well, I've probably just been lucky that somebody hasn't come up and surpassed me on
And
social
undercut
media
you?
and undercut me on social media alone.
Yeah.
And it will happen at some point if I don't get on top of it.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to come up, they're going to be new to the industry, they're going to learn it pretty quickly, and they're going to market the shit out of it, and they're going to just fuck over everybody.
I'm kind of an example of that. I've only been refinishing myself for 3 years.
Nice.
And that's because of year one, I came on this podcast.
Yeah.
And in year one, I took whatever he told me.
It took me 7 years to not be doing everything by my fucking self.
Yep.
I never did the refinishing part. I did prep and stuff like that before, but not a lot. My brother was the one that sprayed, but now we have people and stuff. But I saw it from the beginning. And I do believe it's harder to see it when you're in it, because I never had to do the spraying and all the other stuff.
Yep.
Right? But I can see the challenges of just me having to answer calls and answer emails and go canvassing and take the guys and do field support is a lot of work.
Yep.
So I could only imagine adding spraying to that. How are you even getting customers?
Well, that's the thing. It's like
crazy.
Everyone's like, I don't mind spraying because I like it. It's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. But there are days when you're talking to customers all day, you're doing all administration shit, and you're just like, fuck, it'd be nice to just fucking spray. But that's not going to happen. You want to be busy.
Yeah.
You learn really quickly you'd rather be doing that.
Yeah.
If you're doing those things, that means you're making money.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're spraying, you're getting paid for your time.
Oh yeah, like everyone always says, "Oh, it's nice." Like, is it nice owning your own business? I'm like, I really own my own business. I own my own job.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Everybody always thinks like when you're grinding and shit like that like the business is, it's a little business until they see you like hanging out and getting paid. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's checks being cleared and shit.
It's not a little business at all.
Yeah.
Make decent money doing
this. Well, people will never see that
does.
shit. But then they'll hit you with, it must be nice to have a fucking business. You can just do whatever.
Must be nice. It's like, you can just do whatever you want. And it's like, I work fucking 7 days a week.
They didn't see when
we do what we want. We make money.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'll sit in my kitchen
doing,
on a day off with tons of, non-business related stuff to do. Mm-hmm. And now it's 7 o'clock and I haven't even had a coffee and I'm still on the phone.
Yeah.
But that's the price you pay for it, bro. Some other people would rather just give it to a fucking corporate entity and just work 8 hours and turn their brain off. And there's other people who grind, and then eventually, it's not like we don't work. I wouldn't say we work more than them. I say we work the hours faster. We're putting in 12, 13, 14-hour days while they're at home jerking off watching Netflix, bro. That's what's really happening. And then they'll say shit like, this motherfucker doesn't even actually have an actual job. It's like, what do you mean it's not an actual job, bro? Like, shit like that. People say
we
shit
create
like that.
jobs, bro.
Yeah,
that's the whole different
bro
game. We don't have a job. Our job is to create jobs for others.
Well, that's exactly it. It's like you make your own business and you're hopefully making other people.
None of my guys, none of his guys, none of your guys could even fucking fathom the amount of shit you have to do in a day.
Oh, they have no clue. And that's why, like we were talking about before, that everyone always wants to, for me, it's, you don't always want to tell everyone how much you're making on a job because they don't really realize how much you spent to get there to that job. Yeah. How many hours you put in, what you're paying for everything. Like everything you've built up is the reason why you got that job. Mm-hmm. And even then they might see a decent number and you're making that and you're like, that's actually way less than I would regularly charge.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with this number.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you also don't need to justify that to anyone. It's like you said, you don't go to, you're not working at a corporate, I think you used the example, you're not working at McDonald's and getting mad at the CEO for making billions of dollars.
And the reason that they get upset is because, and I was talking about this the other day with Coach, actually at the cigar lounge. Mm-hmm. So, and he said it's 100%. That's what it is. It's the separation of the powers that be.
Yep.
When somebody knows the owner, it is a lot easier for me to see you and be like, you motherfucker, you're the reason I'm slaving away and you're over here riding high. Whereas in McDonald's, the manager might be making $2 more an hour than the jackass, right?
Yep.
But his job is specifically to keep that guy in line. And then there's another person that's a regional, and there's the CEO is so far apart.
And that's with any business. You're building the pyramid up that, you have your guy that you rely on and you pay him decent to do what you're doing now. And it goes down and it trickles down. And then you're so far away from the people actually doing the work that they're not going to question that at all.
And yeah, go ahead.
How I talk to my guys is how I justify the difference in position is two types of people. There's people that capitalize on opportunity. There's people that create opportunity.
Yep.
And I tell them, like, the reason why I get and I don't justify what they don't know what I get paid or what we don't get paid or whatever. But what I'm saying is they know I make more money. Obviously, I own the business. I create opportunity, and you capitalize on the opportunity I created.
Exactly.
And that's where the value difference is. And I leave it at that. And they understand that because if I don't create these jobs, there is no job.
Yeah.
So let's talk about structure of hiring employees, of how you pay them. How do you keep them accountable for their jobs?
You want to start with me or him?
Both of you. Like,
Go first.
Yeah, so me and Danny actually do it differently right now, and we've been talking about how to adjust.
This is why I haven't been able to wrap my head around. There's so many different ways to do this.
I think it's heavily on where you're at in business at this point.
Yeah.
And where I'm at right now is I have 3 full-time employees and 2 guys on the side that are considered part-time.
Yep.
So 5 in total. I have 2 guys that are full-time sprayers, one who's right about there. He can, and how I transition them is I usually typically have them prep and I have them prime tubs. So, and then once they prime quite a few tubs, then I graduate them to top coat, right? So a prepper stays a prepper and he doesn't get paid extra to prime. He doesn't get paid extra until he starts finishing and producing work on his own, right? So I structure my guys based off of their roles and I pay by the day. And the reason for that is because in my business, I can go through highs and lows. So even if I don't have a lot of work, it doesn't force them to not bring home enough money, right?
It averages out.
Yeah, so I take a loss. I take not a loss, but a sacrifice in order to maintain my crew because I can have some months where I'm very, very profitable. I could have some months where I'm not as profitable, but when I get called for that big one, my guys are already there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's how I structure it.
You got to keep them.
Yeah.
Or you run into my problem where it's, can't maintain certain amount of employees because sometimes the work's not there.
Yeah. Sometimes
it is, sometimes it isn't. But again,
I incentivize them, and it's a lot of quality control on my point. Like Danny knows, like I'm more in the field than Danny is because I'm still have to be that hands on with my guys. So, like what I did yesterday, we had a tub and tile and two regular bathtubs. I sent my most experienced guy on his own. He does his own thing. He gets paid the most. I send my next guy down with a helper, and I give them both tubs, and I say, I want you to prep both of them, but I want the prepper to prime both, and I want the sprayer to top coat both. And now it distributes responsibility, and everyone's gaining experience.
Yep.
And then I still showed up at the end of the day to do a quality control check on the job.
Yep.
And I do that. That's how I train guys. I've trained 5 sprayers in the last 3 years.
So you're just paying them for the day? You paying them the hourly?
I pay them for
work?
I pay them for the day because I take all my techs with no experience.
Okay.
Right. So if we've talked about different structures, is if I was to get a guy with experience, he'd get paid hourly.
And what if it turns out to be like a 10, 11 hour day?
I tell them.
Did they complain?
Not with me, because the way I go about it, I say, I'm paying you to go do this job, pretty much, not for a set amount of time. So I have.
So it's piecework.
It's piecework. Yeah. So you're getting paid flat rate to go produce what I've asked you to produce. Now, hear me out. I lose money if they don't finish, right? Say the job takes 13 hours and they have to leave and it's just not done.
Yeah. They got to go back the next day.
I still have to pay them.
Yeah. And how do you hold them accountable for that if it's user
You keep
error?
Doing this enough, I will fire you.
This is fair.
Stop fucking up.
And I guess you're on site as well, so you can see what's going on.
So I have
an
understanding. I have an understanding of what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
So I tell them, like, you can't bullshit me.
Yeah.
Like
you've been doing it.
I've sprayed more tubs
in 3 years. Yeah, you know exactly.
I know everything that could possibly happen, right? So they have to give me a decent excuse. If the excuse is decent and it makes sense, then shit happens. But if you give me some half-ass excuse, I'm gonna know, and I'm gonna say, look, I'm gonna let you. That's fine. This can't happen again.
Yep.
And usually they don't want to lose their job, so they're just not going to let it happen.
Of course.
Again.
Well, it's exactly when people like to work not for this massive corporation. When they're, again, when it's, you obviously want to all grow our businesses, but it's a lot different than working. You're making it that you can own your own, you can be your own independent boss.
That's exactly
within
the word I
my
use.
within my business.
I tell them, you're an independent tech. You have independence. I'm not going to. All I do is book the job. I tell you where to go and what time to be there. Yeah. How you structure your workflow, when you want to take your lunch. Yep. I don't give a damn, honestly.
Yeah, like, get the job done.
Yeah, you get the job done, and you can know though that if it did take you 2 days, I'm not deducting your. That's a flat rate benefit.
Yep.
The bad benefit, and Danny does a little bit different with hourly, is if they spend 14 hours, they're not going to get paid more.
Yep.
So I incentivize them like, look. This job's an average of 6 to 7 hours. I suggest you work hard and get it done in 6 hours and don't spend 10.
Yeah, well, and for you, when your techs are, and you've had them for longer, you can do that too. Of like this is how much this job pays. This is what you're getting paid today.
And I've also had days where they go do one bathtub
and they get paid for the whole day. Exactly. So it does buff out. Yeah. Obviously, you want to book as much work on there as possible, but that's not always the case.
Yeah. That whole structure, you know, I used to do it like that. What I found was, and the reason I stopped doing it, and it's different for him, but I'm hiring, you know, people who have experience, but sometimes their personal life gets in the way of work and shit. Yep. And what was happening was, I had a guy that was getting paid as much as my top performer doing half the work.
Yep.
Because before I did hourly, I did a dry run where basically I told them, hey guys, I want you guys to, I'm going to pay you guys per day still. Just clock in the job so I know how long they're taking. Mm-hmm. And one of them was clocking in 50 fucking hours a week, and the other one was clocking in 24. And because they were getting paid per day, the salary was comparable.
Yep.
That's not fucking fair.
No.
That's why I did not do it. That's why I was like...
And that's what I was saying. As you start to scale,
once I saw that...
I don't think my model is efficient. It can work,
well, it's good for training and to keep people there while you can retain
until they can build their value.
Exactly. So you can retain some profit to put back into marketing. Mm-hmm. So then you can build it up a bit more and then kind of switch gears after that happens. But you're keeping employees on retainer. You're keeping them busy until you have the big jobs to do it, and you need to do that at a certain point. That's why you used to do it.
And I agree. Like, that is a good way to go about it. It also gives the guys confidence that, like, the way I used to always tell people when I used to do it that way is, look, there's good and there's bad, right? There's going to be days where I need you to put in 10 hours. There's going to be days where you do a tub, it takes you 3 hours, and you get paid the whole fucking day.
Yep.
You know, that's the trade-off.
Yep.
Now, if you can't handle it, if it's only going to work in your favor, go find another job.
So are they coming and picking up company vehicles that you have to go do these jobs? Like, how do you...
For me, I assign them a truck. Okay. I let them take it home. They have GPS, so I know where they're at all times.
Okay.
You know, and
I was going to say, like, what's stopping them from, you know, doing side jobs for cash? Obviously, if it's GPS, or keeping material wastage down.
Well, there's a couple different ways to go about it. Go ahead and how you handle
Well, for me, we're small enough, right? And I do have a kind of a loyalty with my crew. We're really close, which is not something that's always going to be there. Yeah. That's just today.
Yeah, it's not always good.
As we grow, and, you know, we're going to transition and things are going to get more professional, and that's just how it is with expansion. But what I do for my crews is I have one guy who uses his own vehicle. I used to have one company vehicle. Someone totaled it. I use my truck, and what I do is I drive my guys to the sites.
Yep.
The guys that I don't have vehicles for, I get up every morning with them. We meet in the morning at the shop. I tell them where we're going. They put all the shit in the back. I drive them, drop them off.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do.
I'll be back, and then while I'm out that day, I make value of my time. Right.
I hired the guy that totaled it.
Yeah.
It's a long story.
And for me, I moved just outside the city, and a lot of guys I have working for me are close to me. So I'm like, you know, it all depends on how the day is kind of structured, but I'll go pick them up and then we go do the job.
Yeah,
I'll go
run the errands. You have to do what you got to do.
I'll go, you know, go to the paint store, grab the supplies that I need for whatever, re-up on a bunch of stuff, run all the errands, and
when
do
you have
phone calls, all that type of stuff.
When you have more people, there's a couple different ways to go about it. You could allocate a daily material to them.
Yep.
So it's like tub and towel. You only need 2 quarts, bro.
Yep.
Just in case shit hits the fan. Really, you should be able to do it with 1, but, you know, 1 quarter catalyst, 1 quarter this, whatever, and, you know, reduce or whatever. Send them with the allocated amount of material, and they have to go to the shop every fucking day.
Yep.
Or the people who you trust a little bit more, you know, are not going to bother to do that shit. Because here's the thing. If you keep them working and you're paying them enough, they're not going to bother.
People don't want to start with the bullshit of starting their own company.
No,
if you're paying them decent, well, and you were saying that you have a guy that you do pay piecework for.
Yeah.
With that, does he buy materials off for you, or do you cover materials?
No, he is 100% his own boss. I just tell him where to go.
So because you guys have Midwest here.
Yeah.
So for me, if I were to do piecework, it's like, okay, do I provide the materials and pay them less? or do they just buy the materials
Bro.
from me, and then I don't have to worry about, you fucking drop a gallon, you fucking waste a gallon, you mix too much paint, you fuck up, that's on you.
If you're ever gonna do it where they're like where you're doing a percentage based, right? Or like we're gonna split this, however.
Yep.
The best way to do it is half down the fucking middle, and you supply everything.
Yep.
That is the only fucking way the maths, bro.
Yep.
Because even if you're like 35%, you're paying more. He could misuse the material. He's his own boss, so he could use the material to do. That's when it becomes a problem.
Well, the issue that I find too is with preppers or any technician is that they don't really realize how much shit costs. It's like, a roll of paper doesn't cost that much, and a roll of tape doesn't cost that much. But when you're throwing it in your fucking bin, or like your wash bin, that's fucking in water, and you go and pull this out, and they fucking ruin tape, and they ruin this, and it consistently happens, and so on and so forth. The fucking paper towel in there, or again, they're wasting materials. That shit fucking adds up.
Yeah, and that's why I reserve that kind of setup for a guy who's more experienced.
Exactly.
It needs to basically be somebody who is as good as you, but doesn't have the work.
Exactly.
And then you split it, and
that doesn't, or have tried to start their own thing and realizes that it's not fucking fun.
A true sub.
Exactly. A real subcontractor.
A real subcontractor.
They're
Someone
good.
who's a professional, but they're buying the work off of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you've built the branding, you've built the business, and
that's what's getting them.
That takes years and years to do.
That's what's keeping them busy anyway. That's the thing. You have to exercise your leverage.
It's worth it for them. It's like you will spend all your money and go into debt just trying to get work.
I even tell my employees,
and then you want to compete with me,
that they can have the option for both. Like I tell my guys, like, you want to make more money, then you're gonna have to take a little more risk with me, right? So I don't hold them to their flat rate. I'm like, okay, you want to make more money? I just had this conversation with Little Angel.
Get insurance, get a truck.
I said, like, go get a truck, buy your equipment. I told him exactly how much it cost him. I said, I'll sub to you, bro, no worries. But don't rely on just me to feed you. I said, because as soon as you go to do your own thing, I'm going to replace you with another flat rate guy.
Exactly. And
I was like, so don't think that I'm going to give you 50% of my project when I can pay one guy.
Exactly. Then you become my competition, and you realize that I'm building this up.
So I tell him straight up, like, I will sub to you because I'm always going to have a higher demand than I have employees. That's the goal, right? If our lead flow is actually, working properly, is we should always be looking for workers.
That's show me that you're serious, and I will, that's value to them.
Yeah.
It's like all that stuff that's completely tax write-off for them as well.
A good sub, like we've used subs on big projects that maybe your guys just might not be able to handle, but you can delegate that liability to the sub. And he has a vested interest in that coming out right because they're not getting paid till you get paid.
Exactly.
So there's a place for them, but you just have to let my guys know, like, there's a place for that, but don't think you're going to be busy with me Monday through Friday if I can get a guy to do it cheaper.
Yep.
And then when they weigh that risk, a lot of times they stay on salary.
And the subs that I have two of them. One's named Bruno, the other one's named Carlos. I could keep them busy all the time. Bruno I keep more busy just because he's a god.
So do they run their own companies as well on
he
the side?
Does, but
they kind of get their own.
They try.
Yeah, they can get their own work, but a lot of work, you call them and say, hey, got some work for you.
No, Bruno is one that he's basically a worker. He's basically an employee. He just makes half. Because I keep him so busy.
Which that will generally happen because it's now you're
it's the same. It's the same deal as any other subcontractor for any general contractor, right?
Yeah.
Like most of those general contractors create relationships with their subs, long-term relationships.
Yep.
So it's more of just you work for this guy. You just get to pick and choose what projects you want to do.
And it's good for them, too, because they get the fucking tax write-offs for everything because they're now subcontracting.
And
they own their own business.
They get the same flexibility as being a business owner. They just don't carry the weight of creating the opportunity.
Exactly, and everything else that comes with it.
And they also get to benefit off your pricing because you as an established person can charge more. And even though they're making half, they would probably be having to do jobs for half, plus do ads, plus do all this other shit and operate a business.
Yep.
Whereas you're just feeding them work.
Oh, and that's the best for anyone like that who wants to. You get paid more than most people do, and you don't have to you get the freedom of owning your own business, but don't have to deal with any of the bullshit. Like, that's a dream.
Yeah, and that's I mean, for the people that it works for. I have one sub that, like, you know, I it's more like that setup. It's like whenever I have extra work, I'll be like, hey, you want to take it, and he'll tell me yes. But the other one, Bruno, I have him on all the time. Like, the thing is, it's like, you know, he is so good that, like, if I need to impress someone, I'm like, yo, you're on the call, bro. Like, we did the tubs for Disney at the Grand Floridian. I only sent him there. I'm not going to bother sending anybody else there. And it's not that the other guys aren't capable. It's the consistency and the peace of mind knowing, like,
you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna make half of that. I'm charging them $750 for a fucking bathtub because it's Disney and I know they got it. I'm gonna make my fucking $375 and not ever have to fucking worry about some shit. And I know that because we have a good working relationship, if something hits the fan, he's going to go and fix it. He'll go on his own time. He won't bitch and moan and be like, I don't want to work on a Saturday. So he wants the work to keep coming in.
That's another question I have with the subcontractors, the guys that you're paying. How does that work with warranties?
You make them uphold your warranty. If they can't do that, they don't have confidence in their work. Bruno?
So you still cover materials, but they have to go deal with this warranty work on their own time.
No,
this is your job?
Yeah, they every aspect of it, it's literally like if you were a customer and you're giving them, like hey, I need my tub done.
Yeah.
They are solely responsible for everything that happens.
Yeah, you're your own company using my branding to get work. Correct. This is your job.
Yeah.
You paid me, that's done. You make my business look bad by not doing this, you don't work for me anymore.
Exactly.
It's the simplest way to do it, too.
Yeah, because if here's the thing, bro. The moment that you're paying one of your guys or you going yourself to fix a sub's mistake, the value in having a sub is gone. Why am I going to give away percentage of my overhead for someone who's not going to deliver? At the end of the day, the reason that they're a subcontractor is because there's part of the business stuff that they can't get on their own. But the people who you reserve that for the people who are like killers, bro. Yep. The people who are worth doing it for.
Yep.
And that's typically those guys who've worked for someone else for 8 or 9 years.
Yep.
And they're like, fuck this. I want to work for myself, but they didn't learn the business aspect. And so they're great sprayers.
Well,
they even have they have project management experience, but they just don't know how to brand. Which there's not like a school you can just.
Well, it's not even brand. Like for me, like I said, like I fucking haven't done any of the branding or any of that. Like I've had to go through a number of things with websites and things like that of just kind of bullshit of running SEOs, stuff that doesn't work, stuff that does work. But I've never really had to go through that because of Google Ads, you know, consistently just doing Google Ads, but just referrals.
Mm-hmm. How much money do you spend on Google Ads?
I'd say, you know, $500 a month, Canadian. Maybe.
I spend $500 a day on Google Ads.
Jeez.
It's crazy. The competition here is fucking wild, so you got to do it.
It's crazy.
See, and for me, I don't really need to spend a whole lot.
Yeah,
I like I'm busy enough right now. I just keep the Google Ads going just to keep it going, just to get some new stuff in. But a lot of my stuff is just referrals. I have tons and tons of referrals that I get calls all the time. Hey, you did a tub for this person. They love you.
Which is great.
Yeah.
That's not to downplay that. That's the best type of work.
It is, and that's why people trust me.
Yeah.
But it is hard to scale up solely on that.
You're just missing that outreach.
Exactly.
And you'll make a big.
Well, like I was saying, I go up to I blow it to a point where I'm like, okay, I can't handle this work on my own, but I'll make it work. Ready to start training someone fucks you over, and then you're like, why would I do this? Now I'm just looking like an idiot to my customers. Now I have to damage control of why I'm not hitting the promised timelines. Mm-hmm. And it comes down to, like you said, you need to just kind of starve yourself a bit.
Let me ask you this. How's your operation looking right now?
For amount of work?
Far as how many people you have, like how much work you're generating in a week roughly? Is it mostly residential? How are you structuring your team?
So most of my guys are all, part-time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 3, 4, 5 days a week. It really depends on how much I book. Like I generally work, 5 days a week myself. Like sometimes I book a month out, a couple months out. Sometimes I'm a few weeks out, but I always have consistent work.
Do you have enough work consistently to be a week? And this is on average. You can't. I know it fluctuates. Are you booked out? Are you have enough work to be booked out for 2 sprayers for every week?
Yeah, I can make that happen. So for me, it's not really getting the work is not my issue at all, because there's not a lot of competition where I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's trusting the people that I hire to become a sprayer. Like, a lot of the people that I hire are mostly people that I know, who are friends, which we've talked about that. It's a bad thing to do, of hiring your friends, because your friends are the ones who are going to call you and say, hey, I can't come to work today, I got this going on. And they quickly learn, like, people like that, it's like, okay, you know what, like, I understand.
It's too personal.
I understand that happens, but don't ask me for any more work, because I'm not busting my ass and calling a customer and saying, hey, I can't make it there today, can we reschedule? It looks bad. And I try not to do that.
Yeah.
I just, I will just work later if it's okay with them to make that happen. But then I look at it, I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm fine with, the amount of work that I have that I can handle, and then having some of these other preppers there. Like, I used to, with some of these preppers, I would just leapfrog them. They would go prep a job. I'd be on the phone doing administration stuff in the morning. I'd show up. They'd be done prepping. I'd spray it. They would already be on the next job. I would meet them there, so on and so forth. So we could get a good amount of work done. Mm-hmm. But again, it's keeping people full time is my issue, because I can't find anyone that I want to trust. No one fucking wants to work.
I know. And let's talk more about that on the next one. We're already 46 minutes into this one. Jeez. Time just flies by here, man. But we'll talk more about that specifically on the next one, about people and that whole thing, because we've had struggles with it. And there's a couple things that I could maybe tell you that might help the situation. So let's leave it there, and we'll come back on the next one.
Listening to the Bathtub Refinishing Podcast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to keep up with the Bathtub Guys on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, or visit BathTubGuys.com for more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.